This is Samuel Spencer. Well, a statue of him anyway. He was the first president of the Southern Railway and a very influential figure in the world of transportation. But honestly, this statue might be just as interesting as the man himself. Today, it resides outside the Midtown Atlanta offices of Norfolk Southern. The railroad formed when the Southern Railway and Norfolk and Western merged in 1982. But the history of this monument goes back much further than that. Samuel Spencer was born in Columbus, Georgia in 1847. As a young man, he served in the Confederate Calvary during the Civil War. He would then spend the rest of his life working in the railroad industry. Most notably, he was the general superintendent on the Long Island Railroad and the president of the Baltimore and Ohio from 1887 to 1888. He would eventually get the top job at the Southern Railway after its founding in 1894. There, he doubled the mileage the railroad covered and moved the company's focus away from hauling cash crops like tobacco and cotton and into more diversified revenue streams. In 1906, after 12 years in office, he was tragically killed in an accident. The train his private rail car was attached to became uncoupled and was struck by another train behind it. He was just 59 years old. After his death, 30,000 Southern Railway employees donated money to create this statue that still stands today. But that's only the beginning of the story for this 110-year-old piece of metal. The first thing we should note is who designed it. The work of sculptor Daniel Chester French may not immediately be familiar to you, but take a close look at how he posed Mr. Spencer, seated in a large armchair with his coat draped over one of the arms. Look familiar? Well, that's because Daniel Chester French also designed the statue of Abraham Lincoln inside the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That monument was dedicated in 1922. But 12 years before that, another event was happening at Terminal Station in downtown Atlanta. In 1910, the statue of Samuel Spencer was unveiled to the city. You can see him in the corner of this great overhead shot courtesy of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He would sit here watching over the station until it was closed in 1970. The elegant structure was demolished in 1972. The not-so-elegant Richard B. Russell Federal Building now stands in its place. But before its demolition, Mr. Spencer's statue was moved to Atlanta's only surviving passenger rail facility, Peachtree Station in the city's Brookwood neighborhood. The letters on the building spell out the name of the company Samuel Spencer built. Today, Southern Railway is gone, but one of its passenger trains, the Crescent, is still operated by Amtrak and stops here. But the statue's journey was far from over. In the mid-1990s, it would make the short journey down Peachtree Street to Hardy Ivy Park. There, it was joined by another monument bearing the name of a railroad man. The Carnegie Education Pavilion was assembled from pieces of the old Carnegie Library. That library was demolished a few years after Terminal Station in 1977. Samuel Spencer's statue stayed here until 2015. That's when it took one more trip up Peachtree Street to its current home here at the offices of Norfolk Southern. It now sits between two of the original bronze lampposts that stood with it at Terminal Station. But don't be surprised if this statue moves again soon. In 2018, Norfolk Southern announced it would move its headquarters from Norfolk, Virginia to Atlanta. It's now building a new facility in Midtown, and that could mean yet another move for this well-traveled testament to the history of railroads in America.